So we're at 3, 2, 30. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Datati Shapadantikam. Prayuktan Bhojarajena Mayana Kamarupinha Leelaya Vyanudattang Stan Balakridanakan Iva. The great wizards who were able to assume any form were engaged by the king of Bhoja, Kamsa, to kill Krishna. But in the course of his pastimes, the Lord killed them as easily as a child breaks dolls. Purport. The atheist Kamsa wanted to kill Krishna just after his birth. He failed to do so, but later on he got information that Krishna was living at Vrindavan at the house of Nanda Maharaj. He therefore engaged many wizards who could perform wonderful acts and assume any form they liked. All of them appeared before the child Lord in various forms like Agha, Baka, Putana, Shakata, Trinavarta, Dhenuka, and Gardapa, and they tried to kill the Lord at every opportunity. But one after another, all of them were killed by the Lord as if he were only playing with dolls. Children play with toy lions, elephants, boars, and many similar dolls, which are broken by the children in the course of their playing with them. Before the Almighty Lord, any powerful living being is just like a toy lion in the hands of a playing child. No one can excel God in any capacity, and therefore no one can be equal to or greater than him, nor can anyone attain the stage of equality with God by any kind of endeavor. Jnana, Yoga, and Bhakti are three recognized processes of spiritual realization. The perfection of such processes can lead one to the desired goal of life and spiritual value. But that does not mean that one can attain a perfection equal to the Lord's by such endeavors. The Lord is the Lord at every stage. When playing just like a child on the lap of his mother, Jashodamai, or just like a cowherd boy with his transcendental friends, he continued to remain God without the slightest diminution of his 6 opulences. Thus he is always unrivaled. So Mayana, the demons who could appear in any shape, usually we think that there's a demon Putana and a demon Agha, a horse demon, a bull demon, but all of these demons assumed these different forms by their mystic potency. Kamarupina means one who can assume any form he likes. And Krishna played with them like toy animals. As a child would play with toy animals, Krishna played with these demons. For Krishna it was fun. For Kamsa it was a serious attempt to protect his life from the threat of Krishna. But for Krishna, these were just fun. Kill this demon, kill that demon in different novel ways. Well, Krishna is wonderful, and no one can equal Krishna in his pastimes. Vipannan vishapanena nigriya pujagadhipam utapya payayad gavas tattoyam prakriti stitam. The inhabitants of Vrindavan were perplexed by great difficulties because a certain portion of the Jamuna was poisoned by the chief of the reptiles, Kaliya. The Lord chastised the snake king within the water and drove him away. And after coming out of the water, he caused the cows to drink the water and proved that the water was again in its natural state. So this is another wonderful pastime of Krishna's, dancing on the heads of the Kaliya serpent, Kaliya Damana, subduing Kaliya and at the same time enjoying the fun of dancing on his hoods. This is like a summary study of Krishna's pastimes, not a summary study, a summary of Krishna's pastimes. In the 10th canto, we'll find all of these things described in detail, but here in the 3rd canto, we're just getting a little taste. Any questions so far? Ayajayad go savena goparajam dvijottamai vittasya chorubharasya chakirshan sadvyayam vibhu. The Supreme Lord, Krishna, desired to utilize the opulent financial strength of Maharaj Nanda for worship of the cows, and also wanted to give a lesson to Indra, the king of heaven. Thus, he advised his father to perform worship of Go, or the pasturing land and the cows, with the help of learned Brahmins. Purport: since he is the teacher of everyone, the Lord also taught his father, Nanda Maharaj. Generally, the father teaches the son, but the transcendental son taught the father. Nanda Maharaj was a well-to-do landholder and owner of many cows, and as was the custom, he used to perform yearly worship of Indra, king of heaven, with great opulence. This worship of demigods by the general populace is also advised in Vedic literature, just so that people can accept the superior power of the Lord. The demigods are servants of the Lord, deputed to look after the management of various activities of universal affairs. Therefore, it is advised in the Vedic scriptures that one should perform yagyas to appease the demigods. But one who is devoted to the Supreme Lord has no need to appease the demigods. Worship of the demigods by common people is an arrangement for acknowledging the supremacy of the Supreme Lord, but is not necessary. Such appeasement is generally recommended for material gains only. As we have already discussed in the 2nd canto of this literature, one who admits the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not need to worship the secondary demigods. In the 2nd canto, there's a big list. If you want this, worship this demigod. If you want that, worship that demigod. For this, worship this. For this, worship that. But akama sarvakamo va moksha kama udarati. Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Whether one is free from desires, or full of desires, or desiring liberation, if he's intelligent, then with all energy he should engage in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. udaradhi, if he has broader intelligence. And by engaging in the service of Krishna, he'll automatically satisfy all the other demigods. The demigod worship is recommended for the ordinary man, but if one surrenders to Krishna, then it's not necessary. Sometimes being worshipped and adored by less intelligent living beings, the demigods become puffed up with power and forget the supremacy of the Lord. This happened when Lord Krishna was present in the universe, and thus the Lord wanted to give a lesson to the King of Heaven, Indra. He therefore asked Maharaj Nanda to stop the sacrifice offered to Indra and use the money properly by performing a ceremony worshipping the cows and the pasturing grounds on the hill of Govardhan. You can imagine how peeved Indra was. A yearly sacrifice with all opulences and respect and hymns, and it just gets tossed aside because Krishna says, "My dear father, what is the need?" You can imagine. So by this act, Lord Krishna taught human society, as he is instructed in the Bhagavad Gita also, that one should worship the Supreme Lord by all acts and by all their results. That will bring about the desired success. The Vaishyas are specifically advised to give protection to the cows and their pasturing ground or agricultural land instead of squandering their hard-earned money. That will satisfy the Lord. The perfection of one's occupational duty, whether in the sphere of duty to oneself, one's community, or one's nation, is judged by the degree to which the Lord is satisfied. Sangsiddhi Hari Toshana. Tapumbir Dvija Shreshta Pranashama Vibhagasha. Swanustitasya Dharmasya Sangsiddhir Hari Toshana. The Vaishyas, instead of squandering their hard-earned money, this is the Kali Yuga. If you generate a lot of money, then you spend a lot of money on needless necessities or needless diversions. But the Vaishyas should actually spend their money for protecting the cows and worshipping the Lord. That will be the right way to engage their money. Otherwise, the money will be misused for sense gratification. Any questions?
Given the qualities of Brahmanas in Kali Yuga, does this demigod worship really work in Kali Yuga?
Does it work? It works in the sense that if you don't worship the demigods, you're a thief. So then you're sinful. Ishtan Bhogan Hivo Deva Dasyante Yagyabhavita Tayardatana Pradaya Bhyo Yobungte Stene Evasa. So if people, it does work. I remember I was in we visited one village in South India, and the richest man in town owned a movie theater and other such things. And at his home he was worshipping a big silver Ganesh. So, by the grace of the demigods, one may attain prosperity, or one may attain whatever one desires. It's possible. Devan bhavyata nena te deva bhavayantu vaha paraspara bhavyanta shreya paramabhapyata. Yes, the demigods may still be pleased and still say, all right, give them something.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Like you said, Vaishyas are very rich and they spend. Like you said, Vaishyas are very rich and they spend money in sense gratification. Some Vaishyas are there in India who has so much money that they also spend money in building temples and for the Lord, and they also spend money in their sense gratification.
Yeah. They want to have their cake and eat it too. So they want to be known as pious or as charitable, religious, whatever. So they spend money. Even if they're religious, they spend for temples. If they're irreligious, they spend for hospitals and schools. And in this way, they want to be known as religious or charitable or whatever. But it's just a drop in the bucket. When you look at if you could total up their accounts, you'd see that their huge sums are being spent for their sense gratification. And then some portion is used for charitable or philanthropic or religious activities, generally. Maybe some spend less for, it's a scale. Some spend less for sense gratification and more for charitable activities. But the general tendency is to spend like anything for sense enjoyment. Or you reach a level where you have so much money you don't know what to do with it all. So then you spend liberally for sense gratification, and you have so much left over that you can use it for your reputation, for your philanthropy, and so on. Yes.
Maharaj, in ISKCON also there are some devotees who are very, very rich. So they give a huge amount of donation, but they also spend a lot of money in their self-gratification. So that kind of sense gratification affect their spiritual...
Well, everyone gets a different standard according to the body he's received. So someone will get the standard of a prince, someone will get the standard of a pauper.
So it doesn't affect, or does it affect?
Sense gratification, that nobody should be spending for gambling, intoxicants, meat eating, illicit sex. But some people will have a higher standard of life, some people will have a lower standard of life. That's, sometimes even it's required, for your business or for your family equilibrium. Keep the various parties satisfied. You have to have a big establishment. So they do it. But they may be very much detached. Or sometimes they've inherited these things also. So we shouldn't be quick to criticize, oh, see how opulently he's living. Real opulence, real over-the-top opulence, or real, sense gratification in the vicious sense, means gambling, intoxicants, meat eating, illicit sex. Otherwise, so someone is eating a little more ghee on his chapatis. I mean, how much more can you enjoy if you're not going to go after these gross material enjoyments? And what will you get? A little more ghee on your chapatis, maybe little, Gold. Yeah, your wife will have more opulent jewelry, but you can't really, we shouldn't find fault with that. If they're spending for nasty activities, then it's very wrong. Of course, even devotees should think, whether rich or poor, that I shouldn't live more opulently than I need to. But it's sort of natural that some people, like Prabhupada said, you're Americans, you'll have a certain standard of living wherever you go. Just because you've got an American body, you'll get that standard of living because that's your karma. You'll get it. The Americans will have a higher standard, and the Bangladeshis will have a lower standard, because that's according to their karma. It doesn't mean that the Americans or the Bangladeshis are better or worse. It just means that's what came with the body. So, rather than be very much preoccupied with that, all right, whatever comes. Yadrichchaya yadrichchaya, no. Yadrachchalabha santushto dvanvatito vimatsaraha. Yadrichchalabha santushta. In Bhagavad Gita it said, one should be satisfied with gain that comes of its own accord. So some people, more gain will come, some people, less gain will come. According to karma, according to their birth. So santushta. Whatever. Is that all right? Yes?
You say that sometimes people worship nationalist or the common man. What about them?
Sattvika devan yaksharakshamsi rajasa pretan buddhaganams chanye yajante tamasa jana. Yajante sattvika devan. People in the mode of goodness worship the demigods. And yaksharakshamsi rajasa. People in the mode of passion worship demons, yakshas, rakshasas, human beings. Prabhupada mentions in Bhagavad Gita that there was some businessman, thanks to the World War II, he was making money on the black market, so he was worshipping Hitler. And Prabhupada illustrated, he was on a walk in Los Angeles, he said he was worshipping Hitler. He said, Jaya Hitler, Jaya Hitler. So, worshipping some demon on account of material profit. Or we see that people, the foolish people, they deify or glorify or practically deify some ordinary or demonic human being. They worship rock stars or what have you. This is all inspired by the modes of nature. Is that okay? Okay. My reader wants to, yes?
There is worship due to the modes of nature. So, means that person is bound to do that. So, whether he has, in that sense, free will, whether he should choose.
He has free will, but he's by association misusing his free will. He's picked up this mode of nature, mode of passion. He can get out of the mode of passion also. That's up to him by good association. He can even come to the transcendental platform. But if he wants to, but if he stays in the mode of passion, then yeah, he'll be bound to the mode of passion. What is that? Anyway, to Kama and Lob in the mode of passion, what is that? Yeah, no, I know that, but I'm thinking Bhagavad Gita. No, not that either. Oh yeah, Sattvat Sanjayate Jnanam Rajaso Lobha Evacha. So from the mode of passion, greed arises. So if he's in the mode of passion, naturally he'll be greedy, naturally he'll be lusty, naturally he'll be, naturally he'll want to eat food that's more hot, more rich, more sensational, because that's the mode he's picked up. If he's in the mode of ignorance, naturally he'll He'll be attracted to food that's old, stale, smelly, rotten. That'll be his default food. Intoxication, madness. And if he's in the mode of goodness, he'll be attracted to knowledge, tranquility, cleanliness, these things. So, nibbidhanti, one is bound to these things. If one picks up the mode of passion. Therefore, by devotional service, tadara rajastamola bhava kamalobhadayascha cheta etayar navidam stitam sattve prasidati evam prasanna manasa. One takes up devotional service, then he rises above the modes of nature, Sagunana Samiti Chaitan. Then he gets freed from kam, krodh, lobh, mada, moha. These things reduce their grip on him. Then proceeded to prasanna manasa, he becomes happy-minded, satisfied. All right. Now, one of the features of weird life is that my reader has spontaneously decided to not exactly shut down and not exactly start up. It's doing something weird. Probably in the midst of doing something weird. Does somebody have? Yes, there we are. Varshatindre Vrajakopad Bhagnamane Tibi Valaha Gotra Lila Tapatrena Trato Bhadranu Grinnata. O sober Vidura, King Indra, his honor insulted, poured water incessantly on Vrindavan, and thus the inhabitants of Braja, the land of cows, were greatly distressed. But the compassionate Lord Krishna saved them from danger with his pastime umbrella. Lila Atapatrena, pastime umbrella, the Govardhan Hill. So this is Girivara Krishna lifts the Govardhan Hill just to, as they say, put it in Indra's eye. That's the expression. To put it in someone's eye. Not that he put Govardhan Hill in Indra's eye, but just to belittle Indra. Indra was expecting a big sacrifice offered to him with all Vedic prayers and everything. Krishna said, no, we'll do our own sacrifice to Govardhan. And then when Indra thought to retaliate, then Krishna blocked him by lifting the Govardhan Hill. Sharaj-chasi karayar mrishtam manayan rajani mukam gayan kalapadam reme strinam mandala mandanaha. In the third season of the year, the Lord enjoyed as the central beauty of the assembly of women by attracting them with his pleasing songs in an autumn night brightened by moonshine. Before leaving the land of cows, Vrindavan, the Lord pleased his young girlfriends, the transcendental gopis, in his Ras Leela pastimes. Here Uddhava stopped his description of the Lord's activities. Thus end the Bhakti-Vedanta purports of the third canto, second chapter of the Srimad Bhagvatam, Remembrance of Lord Krishna. So Uddhava mentions the Rasa Leela, but he doesn't go into it doesn't elaborate. He just touches upon it. So that's consistent with his treatment of the other pastimes in this chapter. And it's also gives us an idea of the extent to which these things should be discussed with ordinary people. We may mention that Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill, that Krishna did so many things, especially that Krishna danced with the gopis in the rasa dance. But these internal pastimes we may not describe in great detail to the ordinary people, because that's not what will help them. The same medicine that would be very helpful for one person would be not helpful at all for others. So for the ordinary man, other topics are more important, not simply hearing of the Ras Leela. Any questions? Prabhupada mentioned back to Godhead is not for Ras Leela and all of these things. He said there are 3 stages. First stage is to awaken someone. Everyone is sleeping in materialistic life, so we have to awaken them that you're not this body, life is not meant for sense gratification, life is meant for spiritual realization. You're spirit, soul, you're part of Krishna, to awaken their dormant Krishna consciousness. That's the first stage. Then the second stage, someone comes forward, please train me, please initiate me. Then to engage him in various Krishna conscious activities. This is the second stage, the practical execution of devotional service. And third stage, Prabhupada said, is Paramhansa stage. Prabhupada said, always absorbed in thinking of Krishna. So, back to Godhead is for the first 2 stages. And these topics of Rasa Leela and so on are for the third stage. He said, so in the BTG we should avoid Rasa Leela and similar topics. And he suggested the types of articles. He said prayers by Bhishma, prayers by Arjuna, many other such topics. Not that everything has to jump to Rasa Leela. Okay.
This whenever the topic of Rasa Leela comes, it is always, what do you call it, even the readers are asked to be very careful, to jump onto them. It has been so frequent that sometimes when I read the Bhagavatam, when I read the Bhagavatam personally, I wonder if I am ready to read the 10th canto. Because after reading the 9th canto, maybe still I have to complete once more, going back again. So
there's no harm going back again, of course. Prabhupada's given us 10th canto in the form of Krishna book. But we should know that these are exalted topics. The Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj said that there were certain topics that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur let them read, he said, but not discuss. The higher section of Ramananda Samvad and other such things. They could read them, but not discuss them. So Prabhupada also said, he said that we can't avoid these things. He said, just like I've written the Krishna book, he said, so I have to describe these things. Not that we'll edit them out. or boycott them. Prabhupada said, why boycott the gopis? But these topics we have to deal with carefully, that's all. And not that we just seize upon these topics and make them the central attraction of our program. We have to deal with them carefully. Anything else? Okay.
It's 1990. Just in case.
Okay, so that ended the chapter. The remembrance of Lord Krishna. Vidura met Uddhava and asked him about the welfare of the Yadu dynasty and about the welfare of the Kauravas, the Pandavas, and so on. And Uddhava responded by an extended description of Krishna's pastimes. He just described, he first was stunned and his mind was absorbed in the spiritual world. Then he returned to the plane of human beings and began replying to Vidura. So in his reply he describes these wonderful activities of Krishna in Vrindavan, remembering them himself and also enabling Vidura to remember them and taste them. This is the business of pure devotees. Machchita madgata prana, bodhiyanta parasparam, katayantascha mam nityam tushanti cha ramanti cha. They meet together and remind one another about Krishna. Prabhupada said, just like scientists at their conferences, they get together and they share their discoveries and exchange their papers with great enthusiasm. So the devotees are enthusiastic in sharing their realizations about Krishna, sharing their topics of Krishna, hearing from one another. It doesn't have to be, when we say sharing our realizations, some esoteric or novel revelation, but simply appreciating the topics as described by the acharyas. That's the business of the pure devotees. Tushanti cha ramanti cha. I'll let you do it. Any questions on these two chapters? Okay. The next chapter continues the remembrance of Krishna, but now it's the Lord's pastimes out of Vrindavan. The first pastimes are performed in Vrindavan, then Krishna leaves Vrindavan and goes to Mathura and then to Dwarka. So now these activities will be described. The original Krishna book was 2 volumes, and Prabhupada wanted it arranged in such a way that up to Krishna leaving Vrindavan would be the first volume, and then the second volume would be Krishna's activities outside Vrindavan. Tata Sa'agatya puram svapitros chakirshaya sham baladeva sangyuta nipachyatungad ripuyuta natam hatam vyakar shad vyasum ojasur vyam. Sri Uddhava said, thereafter Lord Krishna went to Mathura city with Sri Baladev, and to please their parents they dragged Kamsa, the leader of public enemies, down from his throne and killed him, pulling him along the ground with great strength. Purport: King Kamsa's death is only briefly described here because such pastimes are vividly and elaborately described in the 10th canto. The Lord proved a worthy son of his parents even at the age of 16 years. Both brothers, Lord Krishna and Lord Baladev, went to Mathura from Vrindavan and killed their maternal uncle, who had given so much trouble to their parents. Their parents Vasudeva and Devaki. Kamsa was a great giant, and Vasudeva and Devaki never thought that Krishna and Baldev, would be able to kill such a great and strong enemy. When the two brothers attacked Kamsa on the throne, their parents feared that now Kamsa would finally get the opportunity to kill their sons, whom they had hidden for so long in the house of Nanda Maharaj. The parents of the Lord, due to parental affection, felt extreme danger, and they almost fainted. Just to convince them that they had actually killed Kamsa, Krishna and Baldev pulled Kamsa's dead body along the ground to encourage them. He's really dead. Sandipane sakrit proktam brahmadhicha savistaram tasmai pradadvaram putram mritam pancha janodarat. The Lord learned all the Vedas with their different branches simply by hearing them once from his teacher, Sandipani Muni, whom he rewarded by bringing back his dead son from the region of Yamaraj. So this is Ujjain, the seat of Sandipani Muni. No one but the Supreme Lord can become well versed in all the branches of Vedic wisdom simply by hearing once from the teacher. We go to school and we take the lesson, and then the next day the teacher reviews it, and you're still sort of getting it, maybe not getting it, or so many things. We learning a language, A, B, but does the D go this way or does the D go that way? So many things we have to learn, and it takes time. But Krishna learned everything, just like that. One heard it once, done. Nor can anyone bring a dead body back to life after the soul is already gone to the region of Yamaraj, but Lord Krishna ventured to the planet of Yamaloka and found the dead son of his teacher and brought him back to his father as a reward for the instructions received. So that's Guru Dakshina. It's the duty of the disciple to give some reward to the teacher. So Krishna rewarded Sandipani Muni in a manner befitting his own position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord is constitutionally well versed in all the Vedas. Well, of course, he wrote them. And yet to teach by example that everyone must go to learn the Vedas from an authorized teacher and must satisfy the teacher by service and reward, he himself followed this system, adopted this system. Yeah, it doesn't want to go beyond the last line. Lord offered his services to his teacher, Sandipani Muni, and the Muni, knowing the power of the Lord, asked something impossible to be done by anyone else. The teacher asked that his beloved son, who had died, be brought back to him, and the Lord fulfilled the request. The Lord is not therefore an ingrate to anyone who renders him some sort of service. The devotees of the Lord who always engage in his loving service are never to be disappointed in the progressive march of devotional service. Oh, Krishna is very kind. He appreciates the slightest. We read that the other day, that Putana treated Krishna like a nurse, and Krishna accepted, yes, and gave her liberation on the level of a nurse. So Uddhava said, of whom else should I take shelter but Krishna, who's so kind that he accepts even the slightest service from a demon like Putana? And what to speak of the devotees? So this is Krishna. He's he has, 64 qualities? And one of them is he's very kind. He's a well-wisher of his devotees. So in the case of Sandipani Muni, although Krishna actually, whatever he learned from Sandipani Muni learned from him. Because Krishna is the source of all knowledge. What's described in Nectar Devotion, that it's like the cloud pouring water on the land. The cloud gets the water from or like the cloud pouring water on the ocean. The cloud gets the water from the ocean, but then pours it back. So whatever knowledge Krishna learned from Sandipani Muni actually came from Krishna himself. But Krishna performed the pastime of receiving this knowledge from Sandipani Muni and then expressing gratitude. Yes, I've learned all of this from you. So please, what can I do for you? What service can I perform? Yes. Then if even Krishna performs the pastime of being so grateful, how grateful should we be to the spiritual master? Because we're not getting knowledge that we gave him. Ajnana timirandhasya. We're genuinely in darkness. We're genuinely in illusion, genuinely confused, genuinely misdirected. And it's only by the grace of the spiritual master that one's eyes are opened and one is set on the right path. So how much gratitude there should be. Someplace in Shastra it said that one can't repay even the spiritual master even for one word or one letter or one word of the instruction that one has received. It's so valuable. So one should never be ungrateful to the spiritual master or think that one has become greater than the spiritual master. That spells disaster in the life of the disciple. Should always think himself eternally indebted to the spiritual master, eternally dependent on the spiritual master's instructions. Otherwise he's lost. Okay, people are just a lot of head touching today, but no real questions.
That's pertain to last question. Due to the modes, sometimes people commit some action. Due to the modes of the nature, effect of the modes of the nature, one is prone to act whimsically or commit something. And so, is there a hope for them?
Who?
For it may be whether it is devotee or non-devotee.
Devotees who are controlled by the people who are controlled by the modes of nature.
The person is maybe devotional, but if he commits a blunder out of being under the influence of the lower modes, is there still any hope for him?
Yeah, it's understood. Just like the students, they all blunder. When you teach students, they don't all just get it the first time. They blunder, they make mistakes, and still there's hope for them. As long as they stick to the process, as long as they remain faithful to the process of instruction, then there's every hope for them. But if they become frustrated and go away, or if they become angry, that, why do I need arrogant and insulting to the teacher, or if they don't follow the teacher's instructions, give up the teacher's instructions, then it will be very difficult. Then it will be very difficult. But if they stick to the path, utsaha nishchaya dharya, then there's every hope.
Second question is that Prabhupada suggests that for a person to reduce their lust, should read.
What is that?
For reduction of lust.
Reduction of?
Lust. Read the pastime with the Krishna's pastime with gopis. And still we see that we should not go for that, because obviously the person whose mind is contaminated.
One should think of Krishna and the gopis and read these things. That will, it's described in that section that this reduces the hrit rog, the disease within the heart, the disease of lust. But it's not the only remedy, and it's not to be taken in isolation, nor, yes, it has to be taken according to the prescription of the spiritual master. Specifically, one should be very careful not to think that these activities of Krishna are something like my activities, that I could enjoy activities like this also. That will be very harmful. One has to understand that these are activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These are the activities in the healthy state, and they're not at all the same as the diseased activities. In the spiritual pastimes, it has nothing to do with squeezing some pleasure out of this material body. Everyone's form, all the forms there are spiritual. Ananda chinmaya rasa pratibhavatapi. So the exchanges are not the exchanges of lust generated from the body and mind. They're devotional activities, devotional exchanges between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His pure devotees. So if one understands it in that way and remembers it in that way, then that will be very good for curing lusty desires. Otherwise, if one wants to read it like thinking, you know, something that is something of this material world, still he's coming into touch with Krishna. It will have some benefit, but he's prone to misunderstand, and then his disease may not be cured or may become worse, especially if one thinks one can imitate. In Bhagvatam it said one should never think of imitating these pastimes of Krishna any more than one should think of imitating Lord Shiva by drinking the ocean of poison. But if we receive these topics in a submissive way from the bona fide spiritual master, then they'll be very therapeutic. Okay, we can stop here. Thank you all very much.